What happens if it does work out? What happens if you show up for the date and he shows up too, and you have a great dinner and you have everything to talk about, and then he calls you again? Hi, I'm Jennifer Mount, managing broker and realtor in production here at Legacy Realty Advisors. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We have a goal this year to get to 100 subscribers, so please subscribe to this video or to our channel. We appreciate that. This month we have been talking about the real estate transaction, closings, all the way from contract to close, even from meeting the buyer. So if you want to get caught up on it, you can always just revert back to some of our previous videos. We love engagement. And also I was doing just kind of a fun little thing about how the real estate transaction can be kind of like dating. And I am single here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been here my whole entire life, and I love Tulsa. So if you want to visit, I have all the great places. I was just talking to my friend last week about starting a part of our service to our clients and to our relocation people would be for me to take them to all of my favorite spots that they're not going to know about. So if you're interested in a tour of Tulsa, I would love to take you on one. Because he was like, well, where would you take them? I said, okay, so I know the best church, the best gym, the best banks, the best Italian food, Mexican food, park, jogging trail. Anyway, I know all the things. So if you're looking for something to do in Tulsa, reach out to me, whether you're local or whether you're seeing this from a different state. So I want to talk about what happens when everybody does their job in a real estate transaction. And we can look at this from a buyer's point of view or a seller's point of view. So I was referred a client about 3 months ago, and she was relocating here from Houston. So she had to sell her home in Houston and also sell a rental property in Houston before she could purchase something here in Tulsa. So she came for her initial tour, and we went on a tour of Tulsa. I found out she does not like Quick Trip coffee. She prefers Starbucks. So we went to coffee shops and we saw about, the first time we only saw about 7 homes for her. Her daughter was also relocating to Tulsa, Oklahoma from Maryland. And we showed her probably 26 houses. So she also had a house to sell. I'm not going to tell you all of that. I'm going to go back to the ideal closing story. So my client relocates to Tulsa and is living in an Airbnb until her houses in Houston sell. And so she gets a contract on her house and she calls me. And now this whole time she's been going to open houses here in Tulsa every weekend. We drew a radius around her daughter's home, 5 miles. She wanted to be within 5 miles of her daughter, which is why she was moving here. And she wasn't really seeing anything that she loved. So we broadened the search, and every weekend she was diligently going to open house. So that's the first thing. When you have a buyer who is fully engaged in the process, it is so helpful and will make for a much smoother transaction because then they know what they actually like. She gets a contract on her house, calls me up, and she's like, okay, Jen, let's go. She picks out 11 houses for us to go take a look at. And they were within probably a 27-mile radius, which is pretty far in Tulsa. But so we went, so of the 11 that she picked out, 8 were available. And so we spent a Saturday morning looking at all 8. And then she narrowed it down to her top 2. And she was so sick of being in this Airbnb. So the top 2 that she liked both happened to be vacant. And so that's another thing. That's the second thing, is whether the house you as a buyer like is vacant or occupied is going to determine the motivation level of the seller. Because you have to think of it from a seller's perspective is they're making 2 house payments, and that's uncomfortable. So this was really the God thing, though. She decided on the house she liked. I went to a leadership conference with the listing agent. So that's another thing is you want to make sure that your realtor has a good relationship with all of their colleagues. Right now here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we have over 5,000 licensed realtors. And so if I see someone sign in the yard that I've already been to a conference with or that I already know, trust, like, I'm going to be much more likely to want to do a transaction with them. So I called the other agent and told her about the situation and said, we really would like early occupancy because we are so sick of being in this Airbnb. If we are able to come to terms on the offer, this was on a Sunday, if we're able to come to terms on the offer, could we have early occupancy for this coming up Friday? And she said, well, I've got one better for you. The seller had a transaction fall through on this house. All the title work is done. So that's the second thing. You need, well, that's kind of a combination thing. You need to have another agent who's knowledgeable to work with and also a title company that you trust. So she said, all the title work has been done because the previous buyer transaction fell through about a week before closing because the clients ended up getting divorced. So she said, all the inspections are done, all the repairs are done, all the title work is done. I think we can close this Friday. And I'm like, what? So my buyers had cash because they sold their primary home and their rental property in Houston. The title work was done, the inspections were done. The seller was, of course, motivated to get the house gone. And so I am happy to tell you that we closed this in 4 days. So that is a dream transaction, just like a dream date where you show up, you get everything you expected and more, and there's a happy ending. And that is what we are all about here at Legacy Realty Advisors, is making sure that all the pieces are in place so that your transaction goes as smooth as possible and that you do end up with a fairy tale story with a happy ending. And so if you're interested in taking part of this process that we covered this month, if you want to have buying a home as one of your goals, we can still do that. I just told you we closed one in 4 days. So you still have plenty of time in 2025 to actualize your goals if buying a house this year is one of those. So contact me. Also, we have a circle of trust that we have developed here at Legacy Realty Advisors that has everything on it from movers to house cleaners to electricians, all the things. And I am happy. DM me circle of trust or just that red circle emoji, and I will be happy to send that to you. And at the end of every one of our episodes, we have a 3-2-1. So 3 things you learned, 2 things you're going to implement, and 1 thing you're going to share. So 3 things you learned. Number 1, as a buyer, do your homework, go to open houses, make sure you tell the person holding the house open that you already have a realtor, and that way you can be familiar with what you actually want. Number 2, make sure that you have a realtor that you can trust, that also other people can trust, so that the reputation precedes them and the transaction goes much smoother. And number 3, when you are paying cash, you can close much quicker. So this may or may not have been possible if there was a loan involved, but cash is king. So there's your 3 things that you learned. 2 things that you're going to share. Share my number. I would love to help any of your friends or family with their home purchase. And also share our YouTube channel, because there's tons of resources that we're filling that up with on a daily basis. And we want to be a river of knowledge for you. And the one thing that you're going to implement is gratitude. At the end of all my episodes, I remind you that gratitude is the key ingredient to a happy life. So I've been reading a book called Let Them, and it's a great new theory about letting other people do what they're going to do, and you just do what you need to do. And don't let other people's behavior impact your attitude. You are in control of your attitude. So go out there this week, add value to other people. Call me if you want to have coffee or go for a walk or go for a run. And DM us that circle if you want our preferred vendor list for our Legacy Circle of Trust. Or if you want to be on that list, message me and we can see if our values are in alignment with each other. Until next week, same time, same channel. I hope you have a great week.